Hi everybody, Chag Sameach, Moadim L'Simcha. Right now we're the last day of Sukkot. Here we are in my Sukkah, and I want to show you a little bit more Torah about Sukkah, and I want to talk about the Etrog today, the Citron. The Citron is very unique. It's a very, very special fruit, and it's one of the 4 species we spoke about last week. And I have a beautiful book I love called Yedid Nefesh, and here's what the book looks like. And it's written by a beautiful rabbi named Yechiel Balev, Rav Yechiel Balev. It's a modern introduction to Jewish mysticism. It's a very beautiful book. I recommend it to those who read Hebrew. And he has a beautiful article about the Etrog, which I really liked. And I thought of sharing some of his ideas with you, maybe adding a little bit to it, and of course I have to give you a small introduction to understand it. And the small introduction is something very, very basic about Jewish mysticism, and that is that the entire cosmos is not only made of atoms, as we know, the physical universe, we know it's atoms and subatomic particles, but in the spiritual world we have something called the Sefirot. There is nothing, whether it is inanimate, whether it is a plant, whether it is an animal or a human being, that is not made of 10 spiritual spheres. And these spiritual spheres are called, in Hebrew, Keter, meaning the crown, Chokhmah, meaning wisdom, Bina, meaning understanding, Chesed, meaning love and kindness, Gvura, meaning judgment, Tiferet, meaning splendor, Netzach, meaning everlastingness, Hod, something in the splendor family as well, Yisod, meaning foundation, and Malchut, meaning kingship. And these are the 10 Sefirot. And what do they mean? It means that God created these beautiful vessels in order to transmit His spiritual energy, spiritual abundance, divine spiritual abundance to man or to the universe through these, channeled through these spiritual vessels called Sefirot. And the different 5 spiritual worlds, which are, as we say again in Jewish mysticism, Adam Kadmon, Atzilut, Bria, Yitzhak, V'Asiyah. Those are the 5 worlds, but we're not going to discuss them today. What I want to discuss today is these 10 spheres and how it's related to the Etrog, of course. We'll talk about the Citron. And the source of different types of people in this world, or different types of things in this world, whether it's, again, inanimate, plant life, animals, or human beings, it all comes from the Sefirot world. For example, as we know, there are certain human beings that are very, very smiley kind of guys, happy-go-lucky, very, very kind in nature. They come for the sphere of chesed, meaning love and kindness. And there are those that are much more serious or strict, those strict teachers that you had in those days. Well, they come from the side of judgment. And there are those, of course, in between, and there are infinite levels, etc. The same thing as animals. You have your very, very delicate animals like sheep and little cows and things like that, or big cows, some of them. Whatever, you have your delicate side animals. It's very interesting that most kosher animals are the delicate ones. And then you have your fierce, like the lions, or these fierce animals. They're on the side of judgment. Then you have animals in between. So again, the animal kingdom is also divided into this interesting division. And of course, let's talk about your plant life, because that's what we're talking about here. We have plants that are fruit that are very sweet tasting. They come from the chesed side. And then you have fruit that are sour and bitter, and they come from the other side as well. And there are mixtures. Now, the greater that something is, the more combinations it has together. For example, in the upper worlds, the spiritual worlds, the heavens, something called, in Hebrew, for heaven is Shamayim. Shamayim is a combination of 2 words meaning Eish and Mayim, fire and water. Fire and water can't exist on this world together. Of course, one puts the other one out. But in the upper worlds, it's one. So the higher you are spiritually, the more you could take opposites and actually live together in one room, or in one area. When people, of course, are on a high spiritual level, they're very tolerant of others. They can listen to other opinions. They're not going to lose their mind or go crazy. The more low persons on a lower spiritual level, he doesn't have much patience for others, and he's short-tempered. It's my way, do it my way, whatever. So again, the higher a person is spiritually, the more room he has for other opinions. let's talk about the Citron. That's what we were supposed to talk about today. Well, this Etrog is very unusual. Chazal teach us. Well, what does it say in the Torah first of all? The Torah calls it Pri'etz Hadar, the fruit tree that Hadar can mean splendor, but it could also mean Hadar in Hebrew, meaning that dwells. Since this fruit tree, the fruit dwell in the tree for the entire year. Hadar also comes from the letters hydro, meaning water, because it has to be watered throughout the year. It has to be maintained, it has to be well kept. Those who have etrog trees, and they grow, of course, in Israel, and they grow here in Itamar, they need to be very, 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 very well kept, watered all year, taken good care of. But getting back to Chazal, what they say is that the etrog tree, the fruit live on the tree for the entire year. What does that mean? Well, it means that they can survive the different seasons, the winter, and the summer, and the fall, and the spring, so they could deal with all the different seasons. They're more well-rounded. And of course, we know the fruit of the etrog tree. The etrog tree comes with a very, very high root, and it can take two opposites, the chesed, in one way, the beautiful fragrance, the beautiful smell, the beautiful taste, and combine. On one hand, it's very similar to the hadarim, as we say in Hebrew, the citrus, and which are the sour from the sides of judgment. They can combine both worlds into one sweet fruit, and that is the etrog tree. So the etrog, the citron, represents a very, very high spiritual world. It's like the highest level of fruit there is, and from this fruit is the root, which can take all opposites and combine as one. And that is a very, very beautiful message of Sukkot again. Sukkot, we are, as we saying, taking the four species, and we're representing the different kinds of the Jewish people. As we say, the citron represents those who have our taste and smell. But then again, we have representatives of all the different types of Jewish people, and we're taking them all together in one bind, we're binding them together, and we are saying we are one nation, and we are one. And that is the greatness again of spirituality, being able to deal with the different kinds, and to accept everybody, and to appreciate others, and try to see the light and the good in others. Of course, there are those who have wrong opinions. I mean, not everyone can be right. I mean, God tells us we have to keep our commandments and do what Hashem tells us to do, of course, but there are different ways to do things. We have to understand that. Just like we have Hasidim, just like we have Litvakim. There are different streams of Judaism, but they all doing one thing, worshiping Hashem and going and keeping within the boundaries of the Torah. But they're placing different emphasis on different things. And some people, of course, no, he's like this, he's like this. No, the idea is to combine, to understand that they're all different lights of Hashem, just like there were 12 different tribes, and each tribe has a different channel, a different way of praying, a different emphasis on different things. It's the same way. There are different people in this world, and we have to learn to respect others and learn to accept others the way they are and see the goodness in others. And this is a message of the Sukkah. The Sukkah is sort of hugging. It's a holiday after the holiday of Yom Kippur, being Hashem forgiving us for our sins. We enter the Sukkah and Hashem is hugging us, and we are putting everyone together in that Sukkah. And this idea continues with the beautiful holiday of Simchat Torah, which is tonight. Tonight we're going to be dancing with the Sefer Torah. And the Sefer Torah, unlike the entire year we open it up, we take a Torah and we read the Torah. This time, of course, we're going to read it also, but we're going to be dancing with the Torah. And here, everyone has a part in the dancing. The Torah is completely bound, closed, sealed today. And we all dance with it, regardless of what a person, and what kind of spiritual level the person is on. Everyone is one. We are one people. We have to learn to love, and that's the message that we are being given on this beautiful holiday. Well, that's again the very, very powerful thing of the Etrog, again, that fruit that represents that spiritual world. And the higher it goes, the more it can combine. And that's why, again, if we think about the man in the desert, when the Jewish people left Egypt, they were eating the manna. It had a taste. Everyone tasted what he wanted, because again, it was able to accept all different kind of tastes. And that was, it was on a very, very high, it was the highest spiritual food there could be. So it had the entire spectrum of different flavors that there could exist in infinite flavors that could exist. I think this message is a tremendous educational experience for all of us. To experience this and to try to follow the principle, educational principle, to follow and to live by. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes people really can get you the wrong way if they don't agree with you. But listen Everyone has a message.